Whew, what is going on, people? Hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to more esports talk. You need a little bit waking up today, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you guys are around the world. Well, I got some stuff for you. That being Brazilian drama, MiBR versus Furia, heated argument as of a couple days ago in their matchup as well. During that matchup, thankfully for a guy like Fallen who can actually explain both sides of this, or at least in a lighthearted sense, explain their side of things, it was actually MiBR versus Furia. Unfortunately so, several times throughout that same match, according to Fallen, it was actually MiBR experiencing lag spikes as well as freeze times to the point where eventually it came down to one round, which MiBR thought needed to be replayed, and Furia and them go back and forth a bit. But supposedly it was actually Furia and the event which claimed MiBR did not call the not live call until after a player had taken damage and eventually a player had died. The Furia CEO later took to Twitter to explain himself, saying they did not need to restart the round, but based on Fallen's clips, it is clear it is fair to restart, so no matter what happens next, they will restart. And all this coming down to eventually, and again, like Fallen said, several times throughout the match, they had these lag spikes, they had these freezes as well, eventually showing one round though where it was actually MiBR players freezing for several seconds. Here is one perspective, and then I'll show you guys first perspective right after that, where it was very obvious they were frozen. Then to end his thread, it was actually Fallen referencing back to a DreamHack event and also talking about this rule, how it can be abused and probably has been by several teams out there. Keep that in mind for later. He references back to a DreamHack event where it was actually Fnatic versus LG in the screenshot I'm showing you guys. Previously in the same event, though, it was actually LG versus Team Liquid. LG had technical issues supposedly, and Team Liquid played on and did not replay that supposed round. Later on, it was actually LG versus Fnatic. Then Fnatic had the technical issues, and LG did replay the round. That was, of course, Fallen's way of showcasing, you know, sometimes you need to actually have some sportsmanship and replay the round because of the other team having issues. Now, keep that in mind for later, though. Unfortunately for Fallen, his teammates maybe not so level-headed in their responses, as it was actually first KNG taking to Twitter, and I apologize, guys, for the lack of translation when it comes time for Twitter. But seemingly what he was trying to say is that he was actually calling Furia a bit disingenuous, saying they restarted the round because of the pressure they were under, not because they actually wanted to restart the round, and they were posing as good people on social media. Either way, I mean, the round was restarted, so I'm not really sure what KNG's argument was. Of course, they were a bit upset because it is disingenuous, so I understand that side of things, where Furia was kind of posing as the good people on Twitter. Meanwhile, they were kind of forced into this restart. They didn't opt into it like they wanted it. Then we got Fur, who just takes to Twitter to have a blanket statement saying Furia is crap, which, I mean, when it comes time for Brazilian drama, I mean, guys, the engagement out there, the viewership, the player base, we all know when it comes time for these Brazilian matchups, it's actually insane the following these things have. So yes, for all of us, that might not seem as much of an insult, but for them, as in Furia fans, that probably was pretty insulting. And supposedly Fur continues on stream to talk about how they, that being the MiBR core and of course the original former SK and former LG guys, as we all know them, that they had built the Brazilian scene to where it is. It was once dirt, they laid the asphalt, and again, I apologize for the lack of communication there and the lack of translation. Seemingly he's trying to say that they themselves built up the Brazilian scene to what it is, and so that's why they were a bit distraught and disturbed by the way Furia was acting, because they're the new guys, right? They're the new and younger Brazilians that, you know, are kind of having to do this in the scene that they themselves built up, and them not really showing respect for that. And that's the gigantic beat, which caused hundreds of thousands of people, I'm sure, to see all this drama combined between both sides out there. Yes, we have MiBR supposedly lagging and freezing several times throughout a match. It comes down to one round where they actually have to show proof finally for Furia to replay the round. It seems, based off rumors out there, Furia at first did not want to replay it, but based off public backlash, they thought it was probably probably the best thing to do. MiBR thought they were maybe fibbing or being disingenuous about why they restarted the round, saying that Furia did not want to, but because of public backlash and scrutiny, and of course MiBR showcasing how bad the round was for them in terms of freeze time, that is why it was eventually replayed. And then you had the Furia CEO saying maybe that's not the case as well, saying they could have not restarted the round, but they did so because it was the right thing to do. And I think what it comes down to, guys, is you got to wonder the question, after all of this, where were the admins, right? We've seen this in several strings out there. What was the admin doing during the entire time? I understand, especially when it comes time for these matches, maybe not enough time is given to the admins to actually process both sides and everything going on, but certainly these choices should not come down to the team members, the team staff, because of this reason exactly. No matter what you do, if you are Furia, you're probably going to undergo a lot of scrutiny. If you don't replay the round, MiBR fans are going to go after you for being disingenuous and not respectful, because clearly they were undergoing issues on their side. And if you do replay the round and eventually lose the match, Furia fans are going to be like, what are you doing? If you want to win, it's not your fault the other team is undergoing these issues, and if the admin is not going to force you to replay the round, if you want to win, why are you replaying it? This puts Furia in a very difficult circumstance because a third party, that being the admins, is not making their stance or their claims, and then because of the lack of translations, we're all wondering, what is going on? So, what do you guys think about this? MiBR versus Furia. I believe a circumstance which shouldn't have been a big thing in the first case if the admins had just stepped in, analyzed the situation, and given their 2 cents on the case as well. And then you got MiBR guys, who obviously, a large portion of which have made the Brazilian scene to what it is today, feeling a bit slighted and disrespected by Furia and the way they reacted and the way they think they were acting disingenuously around the case. I certainly see both sides. What do you guys see? The Brazilian drama is absolutely crazy. I do love the rivalry, though, because a few days back, I'll be honest, I still think Furia is the better team. But when we have these home matchups, just like we see in North America, and I guess in Europe as well, these teams go back and forth when it comes time for their own personal regions and their own personal battles, because maybe they do know each other a bit better than other teams do. I love the rivalry. What do you guys think? Until next time, drink your water, drink your coffee. I'll see you guys back here sometime soon. Oh.